Hey guys, it's Max. Today we are comparing the brand new Samsung Galaxy Buds Plus against Apple's AirPods Pro, and we're gonna take a look at everything from active noise cancellation, ambient and transparency modes, sound quality with a variety of genres, latency when you're playing games, and much more. And by the end of this video, you will know which one of these you should buy, regardless if you own a Samsung or an iPhone. As far as price, the AirPods Pro are $50 more expensive, $250 compared to $200, but that's the MSRP price. You guys probably know you can get some sweet deals right now. You might even be able to pick up the AirPods Pro for less than the new Galaxy Buds Pro. So we're gonna have some links to the best deals down in the video description. Let's quickly touch on the cases, and the AirPods Pro case is nicer. The quality feels a little bit better. It is thinner, it is smaller overall, and it is less noticeable in your pocket. Samsung switched from using the previous Galaxy Buds style case to the Galaxy Buds Live case, and so it isn't as long, but it is more squarish, and you do notice it a little bit more in your pocket. Now, they also made some improvements. The magnet is much stronger now, so it won't accidentally open, and the magnets inside that hold the buds are also much stronger, so they won't fall out. As far as charging and battery life, the AirPods use a Lightning port compared to USB Type-C, and both of these do have wireless charging. Both of these have fast charge capability, and as far as battery life, they are fairly close, but rated battery life, Samsung is a little bit ahead, both on the buds themselves and with the total capacity in the case. Comparing the buds themselves, there is a huge difference in design. AirPods, like usual, have this stem. The Pros have a shorter stem, and the actual part that goes into your ear is much smaller. The Galaxy Buds Pro, all of that got much larger than before. It sticks out slightly more. It's a lot more bulbous. So in general, it's quite a bit larger than the AirPods Pro. As far as comfort, the AirPods Pro are more comfortable, at least in first impressions and in my use. You actually don't really notice a silicone tip being inside of your ear, and that's because of the design, which I'll show you, but also because of the air vent that equalizes the pressure and makes them very comfortable. Now, the Galaxy Buds Pro, I haven't used them for that much yet, but in my ear, I feel the shape all around my ear. It's much more present, and then also it is sealed without an air vent, so you have a little bit more pressure buildup. With that said, the Galaxy Buds Pro are much more comfortable than before. That's because Samsung redesigned the silicone tips. They're much thicker, and then the actual stem is much shorter here, so the stem doesn't really go into your ear, just like the AirPods Pro, where it's just that silicone tip. So good job, Samsung. As far as controls, the Galaxy Buds just use this touch surface. You can tap it, you can multi-tap it to do different functions, and it actually works surprisingly well. I feel like Samsung upped the sensitivity maybe, or just the responsiveness. It works great. With that said, the AirPods Pro, they take a different method where you have the little stem and you actually just press down and you get a little notification, a little click when it activates, and that allows you to do the same thing, press it multiple times or hold it down if you want to switch between your active noise cancellation and transparency modes. And now let's go ahead and compare the sound quality. I'm very excited to hear these out. I've used the AirPods Pros ever since they came out, and these Galaxy Buds Pros, not only do they have those dual drivers, you have a separate tweeter and a woofer, Samsung has improved the sound as well. So let's go ahead and take a listen. I'm gonna start out with this first track that we use all the time, and let's see what we hear. Sounds good. Vocals are clear. Not bad on the mids. Good bass, good strong, clean bass. These sound very nice. I have no complaints at all. Let's go grab these, put them out, and let's take a listen to the Galaxy Buds Pro. Now with these, you do have different EQ settings, and I might tweak it. We'll go ahead and see. But let's just hear how they sound out of the box. Brighter highs, definitely. The mids are a little bit more rich. Wow, bass sounds very similar. Maybe a little bit stronger, but like the sound signature is very similar. Okay, that sounds good. definitely better. The sound is definitely better, not by much, but this song is an easier song to play. So let's go ahead and switch over to our modern classical song here. So there's some nice bass, some piano notes. This is a great track to listen to. This time, I'm gonna not talk while I listen. You guys can just watch me. We'll flip back and forth between both, and then I'll give you guys my opinion. All right, very, very interesting. So first off, let's talk about the good. The bass in here is really rich. You definitely can tell a difference in this track. Now, on the negative side, first off, it's quite a bit quieter. I mean, I like my music loud, but there definitely is a volume difference between these two earbuds. The AirPods Max get louder. In here, it was mainly kind of dominated by the highs and then also the lows. The mids were kind of lacking. Now, the other positive is towards the end of that track, there's a really tough spot where there's a lot of different sounds being mixed together. The AirPod Pros sound like it's kind of just blended together. You don't have as much separation, whereas the dual drivers here do make it sound more crisp and clean, I guess if I could say that. But overall, I definitely prefer the AirPods Pro with this track. Now, give me just a second. I'm gonna go into the Galaxy Wearables app here, and I'm gonna change the equalizer from the default normal. Let's switch to dynamic. I really like that setting with the previous ones. And let me take a quick listen, I'll get back to you. All right, that is really weird. So when we go from the normal setting to dynamic, the only thing that really changes is the bass goes down a little bit and the high frequencies are toned down a little bit. And it sounds a little bit more balanced, but at the same time, it is quieter, which with the previous Galaxy Buds, when you go to dynamic, it made it sound better and more rich. Now, the other thing I didn't mention is that the soundstage, it is a noticeable difference. It's not huge between the Galaxy Buds Pro and the AirPods Pro, but the AirPods Pro, they do have a little bit of a soundstage, just slightly wider than my head, so the sound isn't just in my eardrums. The Galaxy Buds Pro are a little bit narrower, that's what I was showing with my hands, and maybe that's because of the actual little active vent in here that makes them seem more like open back headphones. But if you want good soundstage, the Galaxy Buds Live are really great in this area. And now let's push these earbuds to their limits with a rock song, and this is by far the most difficult test, and I think this is where the Galaxy Buds Pro could excel with those dual drivers. And let's go ahead and take a listen. All right, guys, wow. First off, I went to the Tidal app and there's a setting called loudness normalization that was turned on by default. And for the other songs, they didn't really do much. For the rock song, it turned that sucker down. So I re-listened to it after that. Wow, if you're listening to rock music, buy the Galaxy Buds Pro. Man, these sounded great. You have this little synth track in the background, you hear it at the start, and then when there's all the different layers of music, the drums, the bass guitar, it just kind of like gets hidden. You almost don't hear it with the AirPods Pro. And then in the mids, some part of that drum, it's all kind of more blended. It doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't sound great. You could still enjoy rock music, but man, these sounded fantastic. Now, as far as sound leakage, Vadim, what did you hear?
I'd say that both of them I could hear the music, but with the AirPods Pro, it was definitely much louder sound leakage.
Yeah, and as far as volume, once we shut that setting off and having good quality from Tidal, they were very similar in volume, and I probably wouldn't be listening to it that loud for too long, even though I do like loud music. So I feel like maybe we have more sound leakage with the AirPods Pro because of that vent on the back that equalizes the pressure. And that's probably also why it has better sound stage, because it's more like a open back or not a sealed design. So if you don't want people to hear your music, the Galaxy Buds Pro are a little bit better in that aspect. And now let's test out the movie watching experience. I have Endgame opened up right here at a great scene. The AirPods Pro support spatial audio with surround sound. In the Galaxy Buds Pro, they also support Dolby Atmos, which I have enabled, and 360 sound, which is more for music, but let's go ahead and pop these in. Of course, I can't play the audio back for you guys, but I'm gonna take a listen and compare them. I guess what I realized most is I wanna watch that movie again. But there are definitely some differences. Now, as far as surround sound, it's hard to tell the difference, but it sounds pretty good. The AirPods Max, they have a feature of spatial audio. When you turn your head, it tracks where the screen is, so it's directional. The Galaxy Buds don't have that, but the biggest difference that I noticed is how rich and deep the bass is with the Galaxy Buds Pro. Since it has a dedicated driver, it's able to just get a lot more low-end grunt and get a little bit deeper and richer in 4 movies. It's definitely better with the Galaxy Buds Pro. And now let's compare probably the biggest new addition to Samsung's Galaxy Buds, and that's Active Noise Cancellation. I'm gonna go ahead and start out with the AirPods Pro. You definitely do get some blockage. So we have a vent in that corner, and it does block out, even if in the off mode, maybe half of the noise or so, 50%. I think that sounds about right. Let's go ahead and pop in the Galaxy Buds Pro, and these do block out more sound. Not only in that vent, but in my voice, it blocks out a lot of the highs. Now let's go ahead and put these in the Active Noise Cancellation mode, and it doesn't do that much, at least to the sound that we have here. My voice is lower, that's a little bit less noticeable, but not as good as I expected, and that is in the high mode. Let's put in the AirPods Pro. All right, yeah, so these, it's interesting, my voice retains some of the high frequencies more so, maybe because that little vent, the air vent, the AC vent there, that is almost completely gone. I can barely hear it. So these probably get rid of about 90% of the sound or so, whereas I would say probably the Galaxy Buds Pro, there may be more like 60 to 70% as far as low kind of rumbling sounds. And now let's see how well they do with higher frequency mixed sounds. I have a video here with people talking, and I'm gonna set it right in front of me, maybe about 1.5 feet, 2 feet away. And we'll start out with the Galaxy Buds Pro. All right, I still hear that quite a bit. Let me go to the off mode. It's pretty much not getting rid of the high frequency sounds. I can hear the low frequency go away. All right, interesting. And for the AirPods Pro, let's go ahead and put it into noise cancellation mode. Wow, very similar result. The high frequencies, it really struggles with getting rid of those. It did get rid of a lot more low frequencies, but I guess with earbuds, let me turn off that annoying sound. With these earbuds, there's not that much they could do compared to over-ear headphones like the Sony's or the AirPods Max. But overall, the Active Noise Cancellation is superior on the AirPods Pro. And now let's compare the ambient and transparency modes with both of these. Samsung made some really good improvements, but let's see how they compare. Right now I'm using the default medium setting, and the vent sounds very natural, the air coming through, just a low rumble. My voice is a little bit digitized, a little bit kind of tinny, but overall it doesn't sound too bad. Vadim, go ahead and talk.
Hey man, how do I sound?
You sound better than me. Maybe my voice is just too close. You sound very natural. We can also go into high setting. That sounds louder, especially my voice, and extra high. Okay, that sounds really weird, really terrible, but if you need to hear somebody far away, it's gonna work. But the medium default setting, way more. Now my voice sounds normal just because I heard how bad it sounded in the high setting. Let's go ahead and put in my AirPods. We'll switch it to transparency mode, and there you go. That sounds great. The vent sound is very similar to the Galaxy Buds Pro, but my voice sounds pretty much the same, very close to real life. Vadim, go ahead and say something.
Hey man, how do I sound?
Completely natural. Everything's not as loud. So everything, even the medium mode, I guess gets louder on the Galaxy Buds Pro. But I'd say Apple definitely has that better ambient mode as well. Now, Samsung does have a special feature which I think is super cool, and it's called Voice Detect. When you have them in, you're in active noise cancellation. And then as soon as you start talking, about 2 seconds later, it automatically switches to your ambient mode. Say you walk up to somebody and start talking to them, so you don't have to manually do it. And then when you stop, about 10 seconds later, it will go back into active noise cancellation. And with that, let's compare the microphone quality. We know the AirPods Pros smoke the previous Galaxy Buds and Buds Plus, but Samsung said they've made some really good improvements. Let's go ahead and pop these in and let's take a listen. This is the microphone quality that you can expect with Samsung's new Galaxy Buds Pro in an environment that does have some extra noise. And this is the microphone quality with Apple's AirPods Pro in an environment that does have some fairly good room noise. All right, guys, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below which one of these two sound better in terms of microphones. I want to hear you guys' opinions. And now let's compare how they do for gaming. The Galaxy Buds Pro, they do have a gaming mode, so I'm going to go ahead and enable that. That's going to minimize the delay. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up Call of Duty Mobile and we'll run a few tests. And the delay, surprisingly, isn't that bad. I think they might have improved it. There's a delay, maybe 200 milliseconds or maybe 300. And then for the AirPods Pro, definitely less delay, maybe half the delay or so. So I might be about right. So I know these are about 150 milliseconds and those sounded like maybe 300. Now what I was really curious about is how do the AirPods Pro work with the Samsung or another Android phone as far as latency? And switching back and forth, I mean, the latency is pretty much the same as the Galaxy Buds Pro. Of course, we don't have that gaming toggle. And I gotta say, it's pretty interesting because in the past, even if you had a Samsung phone, you were better off buying AirPods if you were a gamer because you'd have roughly 300 milliseconds of latency compared to 500 to 700 with the older, different versions of Galaxy Buds. If you are an Android phone user, you're not gonna get any downside if you decide to go with AirPods Pro over other earbuds. And now for our final verdict. Which one of these are better and which one should you buy? First off, I think price really matters. As I mentioned at the start, we have links to the best deals in the video description. And at the time of this video, you can buy both of these for a very similar price, but that is gonna change in the future. Typically Samsung earbuds, they do go down in price. There's some great sales. The other difference that's kind of obvious is if you have an Android phone or especially a Samsung, you have those extra features like that 360 and Atmos sound. And then you also have the ability for it to read out your messages, which is nice. Same thing with the iPhone. You'll have the spatial audio and you have Siri support and Siri messages. If you care about sound quality, ultimately you want the best sound, the Galaxy Buds Pro definitely sound better with those dual drivers and the other updates, especially for rock music, but overall, they sound fantastic and you can also EQ them. Whereas the AirPods Pro, they sound good, but they do not sound as good, especially in rock music where you have a lot of different things going on. Now with that said, if you're somebody that ultimately cares about active noise cancellation and with that ambient mode, and then possibly microphones, you guys are gonna have to tell us which ones sound better in mics. I think the AirPods Pros are a great buy, and then also if you care about gaming, and even if you're somebody that has an Android phone or a Samsung, but you want to get that great active noise cancellation, I would suggest getting a pair of AirPods. They keep the resale value really well. The active noise cancellation works just as good with the Samsung phone, and they're great headphones overall with really good comfort. So there you guys go. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if there was anything that surprised you about either one of these and how they compare. And you guys can click that circle above to subscribe and help us reach our goal of 600K subs before our 2-year mark in March. Click one of those great videos over there to check those out. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next video.